In August of 1965, a man named Satoshi Tajiri was born. In his early life, he had two big passions. The first was collecting insects and bringing them home, a popular activity for Japanese children. In his own words during an interview with Time magazine, Tajiri found them fascinating and that they moved kind of funny. He enjoyed the discoveries he made and the knowledge he learned from observing what the insects were doing, like the fact that they liked sleeping under rocks, or the fact that some of them would eat the others, and so he figured that it was better to stop bringing them home. Other kids called him Dr. Bug, and in fact, he wanted to be an entomologist. He wanted to be a bug scientist. During this time, he lived in the city of Machida, part of the great Tokyo metropolis. Back then, it was still a rural area, free of massive skyscrapers and full of opportunities to hunt for insects. But as the city's urban development progressed, these opportunities were lost as new homes and businesses occupied the empty lands. His second passion was video games. Much to the chagrin of his parents, Tajiri would sometimes skip classes to go play Space Invaders and other games over at the arcades. But much to our enjoyment, this love for video games would one day lead to the creation of one of the most successful series in history. In 1981, together with his friend Ken Sugimori, Tajiri began working on his own fanzine. That is, an amateur magazine created by fans. It was written and drawn by hand, and the pages were simply stapled together. Each copy was sold for 300 yen and contained many tips and secrets for various games. One issue in particular, featuring the game Zephyus, sold 10,000 copies. The magazine's name was Game Freak. In 1989, Tajiri and Sugimori decided to change their business. Starting that year, Game Freak was no longer the name of a magazine, but rather the name of a full-fledged game development company. In June 27th of 1989, Game Freak's first game, Quinty, was released to the public, published by Namco. The art was done by Sugimori, while Tajiri designed and directed the project. A familiar name also pops up in the sound department. Junichi Mazda, a composer who has been with the company since it was first established. Quinty is much like the arcade games that Tajiri liked, because it's a pretty straightforward game that combines simple puzzle and action elements. You play as Carton, a young man with a cute girlfriend named Jenny and a little sister, the titular Quinty. Although I guess that in the English version her name is Mendel because her family loved her very much. But Quinty is a bit of a thirsty cunt and gets jealous when her dear brother refuses to go inside her palace, if you know what I mean, and thus she kidnaps Jenny and sends her army of killer Barbies to do nasty things to Carton. However, in the English release, the plot is nothing of the sort, because of course a game this old had to have completely pointless localization changes. Instead of jealous little sisters, Jenny, who was renamed to Princess Candy, gets trapped in a twisted version of her kingdom where the dolls have gained sentience. So off you go, taking control of Bonbon and going on a mission to save her royal ass from being turned into another of Barbie's plastic friends. The objective is simple. You have to clear 8 buildings, each with 10 floors and a different type of doll in it. Once you clear all of them, you get permission to enter Quinty's shack so that you can bury the hatchet and get on with things. By which I mean getting through another 10 floors of ball-busting action, and then 10 more after that. Each floor is composed of a rectangular room with a bunch of panels in it. Your main method of attacking is to flip the panels, causing them to cycle between the others below the top panel and pushing back any enemies on it. Slam an enemy against the edges of the arena or against a solid block and they take a one-way trip to Barbie Hell. This can reveal special panels with a variety of effects. Some can cause a whole bunch of stars to appear, some can send characters flying, and some can ruin your day. Some floors can be easily cleared if you use them correctly, which helps because as you climb the tower, stronger variations of each doll begin to appear. You don't have the luxury of taking your time either, since the longer you take to clear the floor, the faster the dolls will move. And I have to give props to Game Freak, because every set of levels manages to avoid repetition thanks to how many different dolls there are and how each floor has its own layout. Every single doll has their own patterns, quirks and weak points that you need to learn in order to defeat them. Over at the restaurant we have the workman dolls. You should probably start with these ones since they are the easiest to deal with. All they do is wander around the stage, so you can get accustomed to the gameplay in this one. Which you will want to do, because holy crap do the towers start getting super hard on the last floors. In the cottage we have plump dolls, some overweight bundles of plastic lard. They move slowly but can stomp the ground, causing every tile in a straight line to flip. The stronger variations try to stomp the ground after you push them, which sends you back if you don't flip the tile they are standing on right away. Next is the theater, home to the ballerina dolls. These spin around the play area, bouncing off the walls on solid blocks, or even destroying the blocks in the case of their stronger variations. Together with the cheery music, their reactions and the way that they bounce around everywhere makes them really fun to fight, and I wish there were more floors with them. Over at the club we have the swimmer dolls. Like their name implies, they swim through the floor. They can hang at the edges of the playfield before jumping, where they are invincible. Once they start swimming, they flip tiles every time they flap their arms, and you can be damn sure that the stages are designed to take advantage of that. Things can get out of control rather quickly. The weaker versions can only swim in a straight line, so you can flip their asses by, you know, not staying in front of them. The stronger versions, though, can drift a bit to the sides and run much faster. So be careful or the scary man wearing speedos will get you. Next up are the Mimi dolls inside the mushroom. Don't be fooled by their cute appearance. These things come from hell. These little cunts sort of look like a female version of Carton, and aside from setting off some rather creepy subtext, it also makes sense because they copy Carton's abilities and some of his actions. See, the Mimi dolls only move when you do, making their tower a bit like Super Hot with Barbies. They chase after you with every move you do, whether it is moving or just rotating, but if you flip the tile in front of you, the dolls also flip the tile in front of them. And I have to say, the fact that the background music only plays when they move is a nice touch. The trick is to manipulate them into coming closer to you while avoiding flipping tiles as much as possible, because that tends to end up badly. Not only are they capable of sending each other flying all over the place, but they can also flip a doll summoning tile, which means even more of these unholy douche baguettes. But it gets worse. Over at the tower you have to fight the acrobat dolls, and holy hell, screw these things. Not only do they move fast, they also jump when you try to flip the tile below them, so you need to catch them when they touch on the floor again. Combined with the fact that the tower has some of the toughest floors in the game makes for one big game over party. At the museum you fight artist dolls. They can draw a silhouette on the floor, which if left alone will eventually come to life and make that tile unusable. They're not too dangerous by themselves and they're vulnerable while drawing, but the floor layouts can be rather tricky. In the pyramid you have the chomper dolls, which are... actually, what the hell are these things? They look like some sort of humanoid Pac-Man with a mohawk hairdo. Unlike the acrobats, these jump all over the place, which makes sense, they are called chompers after all. Once you clear all the levels over here, Quinty does some trippy ass magic and takes you to a castle in the sky. In here there is one more type of doll, the Cossack dolls. These are fairly straightforward. They chase after you and can also flip tiles. This can be a good thing sometimes, since they can end up killing each other like this. After a hellish struggle against all the killer Barbies and an even more hellish battle against Quinty herself, you finally put her in her place and rescue your babe while your little sister cries alone, forgotten, abandoned. Actually, this is kind of sad. But if you're a real masochist, worry not, because you can unlock a second full set of harder levels to play through. As if the regular levels hadn't mind-broken me hard enough already. To be honest, the difficulty curve is kind of ridiculous. The first few floors are a piece of cake, but the last few are always absolutely brutal. So if you're interested in playing Quinty, then be ready to see the game over screen more than a few times. But hey, no pain, no gain, right? There's a 2-player mode as well, so you can share the suffering with your best friend. Actually, according to a few sources online, Quinty does get a happy ending if you beat the game in 2-player mode. The second player controls Spartan, Carton's good friend with a secret crush on Quinty, and supposedly they end up together in that ending. I wouldn't know, I don't have a best friend to share the pain with. From the screenshots I've seen, it's more like he's comforting her than anything else though. But I guess that it's good to know that Quinty still isn't quite there. And even when you're getting mauled by dolls over and over, it's always a chill experience. The graphics are really basic and simple, but they are colorful and the dolls certainly have personality to them. Add Masuda's whimsical soundtrack to the mix and it's a way less frustrating experience than I made it sound. The game is even generous enough to give you infinite continues and to let you restart from the same floor you were in, so thankfully you're not forced to beat all the floors in a single run. I guess that if I had to complain about something, it would be the player's movement speed, or at least the way you improve it. See, the stars you acquire aren't just there to give you extra lives when you reach 100 of them. Doing so also increases the player's speed, which I bet would be really useful if I didn't get the game over way before I reached that amount. But still, it's doable without a speed bonus. To be fair, it's not quite that simple or even bad really. I guess I just suck at the game. There are a few tricks you can do to get the stars much more quickly. For example, once you get all but one of the stars in each floor, the last one starts flashing and gives you 10 stars instead. Then you have the roulette tiles, which give you some more if you time it just right. You can sometimes find moon tiles that turn the entire floor into stars, which is instantly a large boost to your star collection, and a few specific floors can send you into a bonus stage with more stars to find and no enemies to try and eat your face off. And in case you're wondering, despite losing your stars on a game over, you don't lose your speed bonus. I guess that the worst part about it is that it's all about trial and error and deliberately sticking around floors for longer instead of moving on. Since the stage ends automatically after killing the last doll, your only hope of grabbing everything with as little molesting as possible is to leave one doll alive. So yeah, that's Quinty. Or Mendel Palace, I guess. It's an entertaining puzzle game that is every bit as hard as it is fun, with some catchy background music and a cute art style that the Western box art wishes didn't exist. But much like Quinty herself, it has been forgotten. Or has it? Quinty has appeared in a variety of artwork over the years, along with some of his other lesser-known characters. In February, Game Freak's official YouTube channel even posted a video where Sugimori redraws his old Quinty art. It's nice knowing that Sugimori hasn't forgotten, because it marks the start of a company that brought us one of the most successful franchises in history. And since their humble start, Game Freak has grown. After Quinty, Satoshi Tajiri would soon begin to work on his magnum opus. A project more ambitious than anyone could have predicted. A troublesome project that would require years of effort, development, and most of all, the desire to fulfill a childhood dream born out of his love for collecting bugs and playing video games. But that's a story for another day. Quinty will be 30 years old very soon. After the beginning of the Pokémon franchise, Game Freak began to focus solely on it, until around 2012 when the company started branching out again with different titles. After such a long period, perhaps it's about time that Quinty got her revenge.